Welcome back to the funniest movie ever. Today, we're living dangerously. That's right, we're talking Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery. But first, let's check in with my number 2, Rip. How are you? What's new? And what have you been watching?
I'm groovy, chaps. How are you?
Yeah, baby.
I have 2 things that I watched since we last talked, and I want you to tell me which one you think I was more excited to talk about.
Okay.
First one, it's Christmas season. Me and my partner were watching those like god awful like Netflix
You
Hallmark
guys are
movies
already
again.
into the Hallmark movies.
You gotta get in. You gotta get in early.
November 21st. It's not even December yet.
So that's one.
Okay.
And then number 2 is I watched Deadpool and Wolverine.
You were more excited for the Hallmark movies.
100%, yeah, but without a doubt.
So, like, you and my mom should hang out because she loves those Hallmark movies as well.
She is always welcome to come watch them with me. I'm not gonna lie, like I love this. I'm so excited. I'm really sad we don't have what is it? I think W channel or whatever they play on
the W network,
because we don't have cable anymore.
right?
But there's like more than enough now on Netflix to make up for it.
Have you seen the one where they remember up the street from us they were shooting like a Christmas movie? Have you seen it yet? Have you come across that?
So again, like the one that we just watched, my partner and I was looking it up because I'm like, this doesn't look like New York because they always say it's in New York, right?
Yeah, it's always New York.
It's always Toronto.
Yeah.
So I checked to see if it was filmed in Toronto. It was filmed in Toronto.
Okay, cool.
But I could not find any like confirmation that it was like the street that we frequent.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't think so.
I think I was meaning to tell you this because I actually know what that was for.
Oh.
It ended up being for a Starbucks commercial.
Oh, that's so disappointing.
Really disappointing.
Why did you let me go on this tangent then?
I just wanted to hear you talk about your
I was
love
doing
of
some
Hallmark
detective
movies.
work, yeah. The one that we just watched, it's called Hot Frosty.
Hot Frosty.
Yeah, so it's like Frosty, but like hot. So I'm going to hit you with the premise here. Are you ready? So,
No, I'm not.
I mean, this is going to sound so ridiculous. Like Gretchen Wieners from Mean Girl.
Yeah,
Mean Girls.
she's in a lot of these W network movies,
so like
right?
she's made a whole career out of this. So
love
she's
that
the
for
main
her.
character in this. She lost her, spoilers by the way, for Hot Frosty.
Yeah.
She lost her husband like a couple years ago to cancer, not in real life, in the movie.
Shit. Damn.
So she's like going to this like I think I was probably on my phone during this part. She goes to like a secondhand like used clothing store or something.
Of course, because it's always like someone that they know runs one of these. Like
And
it's
it
a
is,
boutique
it is.
shop. It's like
100%, right? And the old couple that runs it that she knows,
Yeah, of course.
brings up that her husband passed away sadly, and they're like, oh, like you got to get out there again. And then like the husband like with big like sneaky grin on his face gives her a scarf.
Oh,
And
is it
of
a
course,
magic scarf?
It's a magic scarf. Can you let me tell the story?
No, because I want to guess.
So she takes the magic scarf, and I don't know why. I again was probably on my phone for this part, but she puts it on a snowman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
Because this is just a ripoff of Jack Frost. Because that's what he does. He builds a snowman and he puts his dad's favorite scarf on it and he comes to life.
Oh, is this Michael Keaton?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Big time.
Okay, so
Add that
I
to
mean,
your list.
not even as hot as Michael Keaton.
I mean,
it's
he's a good looking dude in that movie.
You watch Schitt's Creek, right?
Yeah.
It's the guy that Alexis ends up marrying. He's
Okay.
Hot Frosty.
Okay. That makes it checks out.
Yeah. So, spoilers. 100% like I would have been fine if like Hot Frosty's doing his thing and like like friendship, right? But they end up together in the end, which to me is weird because
Okay.
he's a snowman.
Okay, I was gonna ask, like, does he ever like become like a person, or is it just a snowman the whole
no,
time?
well, I mean, it's the actor. The actor isn't a snowman; he's a person.
No,
So-
I know that, but like, is she dating like a snowman? Like, is it a snowman and she's like bringing this like actual snowman
So this is
around?
the one thing I will give credit to the movie for is that they don't like dance around like people being like, oh, like I don't know, maybe he's a snowman. Like that's kind of weird. They're all just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like he was a snowman, now he's a person.
So he looks like a real person.
Yeah.
Okay,
They make him look with the makeup like he just always looks cold.
She's got like blue lips all
Yeah,
the time.
literally. Yes.
This sounds ridiculous.
But at no point is anybody like, that's really weird. That like, because he goes to the doctors, no one's ever like, oh, like, why is his temperature like 1,000 degrees below what it's supposed to be? And the doctor's like,
Sir,
must
you
be a
have
snowman.
hypothermia.
Yeah, she's like, oh, it could be a snowman.
It's so funny.
Like, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. I love that for you.
Anyway, all of that said, actually, one more point because this is crazy to me. somehow they just threw enough money to get Craig Robinson in this.
Like Craig Robinson from like Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah,
and
Craig
like,
Robinson and his partner. He plays a detective in it.
Okay, I'm in.
Who, of course, is like the antagonist to Hot Frosty.
Right.
And his partner is Joe Latrulio, who is also like.
That's actually really. Wait, hold on. Why is he the antagonist to Hot Frosty? Like, is Hot Frosty like?
You know
was he like in another life like a criminal? And he's I think.
I've taken up way too much time already. Just go watch the movie.
Welcome back to Hallmark Christmas Movies, where we review Hallmark Christmas movies.
Just go watch it.
Honestly, I'm gonna have to because it sounds really kind of crazy, and I need to know why Craig Robinson is a detective who I'm guessing is investigating Hot Frosty.
Yeah, it's yes, it is.
And this is on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. It's god awful.
Well, that's why they have
like,
money.
It truly is like so awful that I enjoyed it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
To each their own, right?
It's like on par with That's My Boy.
And what are your feelings about Deadpool and Wolverine?
I don't care.
So this little intro just sums up Rip's movie taste in general for people out there.
Like Deadpool and Wolverine, like I mean, I don't know.
You didn't have any fun at all watching it.
It's a vehicle to bring in like a bunch of cameos of like,
of course,
like superheroes that you and I grew up with.
It was
like,
so fun though.
I can't say I ever was wondering what is it, Elektra? What Elektra's up to?
Yeah.
Did not concern me at all. And then, do you want to get into Channing Tatum's
I was gonna ask you,
accent?
It's so bad.
I thought it was kind of good,
but like in a way that like it's not even like close to how he sounds like in the X-Men '97 like cartoon and stuff like that.
Did they do the accent in the cartoon?
Yeah, in the cartoon he has the accent, but it's like a real Cajun accent. It's not like this whatever Channing Tatum's doing, which sort of sounds like he's making fun of it the whole time.
Know. I'm like, I appreciate them like dressing him up like Gambit.
Yeah, the outfit was sick,
but he looked ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's just.
I mean, I don't know. I was there for it.
I don't know.
I'm a like a sellout, I guess. I'm a corporate sellout. I'm there for all those Marvel things.
So back to Hot Frosty.
Yes, go on.
What have you been watching? What have you been watching?
So my partner and I have been going deep on Arcane, which is a animated show. Love animated shows. This is based off like League of Legends.
Oh, okay, cool.
And the second season just dropped. Like it's been dropping in parts. So last Friday, the second part came out.
So do you know like League of Legends?
No, I don't. I just know the show Arcane. And like we started watching the first part when it came out, and we're like, maybe we should go back and do first like season 1 again because like not remembering anything. And then we found ourselves in this weird spot where we were halfway done season 1, but wanted to watch part 2 that came out. So we were watching both of them, and then it just made us even more confused. So we finished watching season 1 and then rewatched the entirety of season 2 again.
And did it eventually make sense?
And then it all started making sense. Okay, now we get it.
That's
and it's
so
great.
funny.
It's a great show. Great show. Love it.
My only knowledge of League of Legends is that at one point in our group chat, one of our buddies had like, I guess, hot tips for who to bet on. And
oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, you want to put a parlay together.
Like 11:30 p.m. here, but I guess like in South Korea where the tournament is like happening, I'd wake up and I'd be like, well, I lost $50. I'm glad I listened to him.
Yeah, so did I. I put money on the same team. I forget who they're called, but yeah. But another thing we watched this week, we went to the review, and we saw La La Land.
I love La La Land.
Such a great movie.
It's so good.
It's so fantastic. I love Ryan Gosling, and I have decided that I need from Hollywood, and this is non-negotiable. I need every 4 years Ryan Gosling singing and dancing in a movie. Like it's just I need it to happen. I need it in my life. It's way too good, way too much fun to not be a thing.
Such a good movie.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean,
we need more Ryan Gosling singing.
I would be fine if they just like released La La Land every 4 years.
Yeah,
I fucking love that movie.
Just do it again. Yeah, just back in theaters. Let's go. So we did that. Great time. And then I wanted to bring something up because I want to get your take on this. Have you seen How to Train Your Dragon?
I actually haven't.
You haven't seen How to Train Your Dragon?
I've heard nothing but good things. I just like haven't gotten around to it.
Did you know they're doing a live action version?
I did know that. Yeah.
And the trailer dropped for it.
Still not watching trailers.
Yeah, I that's fair, but like this is I can't stand this trend.
Who's playing How To?
What?
Who's playing the main actor, the main character?
Jay Baruchel's character?
Yeah, is it him?
I don't know who it is. It's some kid from something or other. But they got Gerard Butler to be the dad.
The dragon?
The dad. No, you haven't seen the movie, so Gerard Butler's his dad in the movie.
Is the dad a pivotal role?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
My gripe with this, though, is just like we don't need this shot-for-shot remake of an already great animated movie. It's literally like you can see that they took whatever the dragon animations were from the animated movie, they just reskinned them to be a little bit more real looking.
Yeah.
and then everyone else is on blue screen. Just, I'm mad. It makes me frustrated.
How many are there now?
There's 3.
So are they just doing like the
I
first
fucking
one?
hope
Is it
not.
like
I
an
don't know, man.
amalgamation of all
They
3?
should just not do any of them because it doesn't need to happen. Like we already have a great animated movie. It's just it's annoying. But yeah, so that was my week in what I've watched.
Right on. It's nice to hear about the review again. It's been a while since I've been there. So did you get popcorn?
Oh yeah,
Nice.
got popcorn.
Nice.
I had a frisbee game right after, so I didn't go too hard on the popcorn with all that running around.
Fair enough.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we're back, we're diving into Austin Powers.
In 1967, an international secret agent was cryogenically frozen in case the world ever required his services again. Now, evil is threatening the Earth, and the time has come to bring him back into the 90s.
It's not unusual.
Allow myself to introduce myself.
Danger Powers personal effects.
Actually, my name is Austin Powers. Danger's my middle name.
I'm gonna need you to sign these release forms.
Okay, name. Sex? Yes, please.
In his time, he was the coolest secret agent alive. Unfortunately,
It's freedom, baby, yeah!
this is not his time. He's a swinger in a square world.
A lot's changed since 1967.
Bring on the sexy stews, man! Yeah!
We're called flight attendants now.
And he's a stranger in a strange land.
This is my mother, Mrs. Exposition.
Lovely.
Austin!
What have you done?
That's not your mother, it's a man, baby! Why won't this wig come off?
Well, now you shake it to the left, you shake it to the right. You're doing a hippie shake.
Jiggle, jiggle.
Ow! That really hurt. Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
And we're back. Alrighty, we're talking Austin Powers. Before we get into the rundown and any of that sort of stuff, I figured I'd just cover off like the nuts and bolts of the movie. So this movie comes out in 1997. It's directed by Jay Roach, who directed all 3 Austin Powers movies. Other notables include Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers, Dinner for Schmucks, The Campaign, and for all you hockey fans, Mystery Alaska, which when I was looking through his IMDb, I was like, this guy did Mystery Alaska? That's hilarious. The writers, obviously, Mike Myers. This is his original movie. Cast includes Mike Myers as Austin Powers and Dr. Evil. We have Elizabeth Hurley, Michael York, Mindy Sterling, and Seth Green. I love this movie, so I wanted to just get like your general opening thoughts. How did you feel about it?
So I haven't seen this in forever, but I mean, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like I love the whole idea of him just parodying. Why is that such a hard word to say? Anyway, him doing that to James Bond, just like it makes me howl because I don't know, like fuck Hollywood at the end of the day. Like apparently this really screwed them too.
It screwed like the whole James Bond sort of stuff. Like it took the wind out of the sails.
Yeah,
for
I was
that.
doing like a little bit of research because I was just curious like how this all came to fruition, right? And there's an actual quote from Daniel Craig where he's like, Mike Myers literally fucked us. And like, basically that's why it got so dark, I guess, when he came on to play Bond.
Well, yeah, because all the Bond movies were so campy and stuff like that. And then you have Austin Powers comes out and it's just taking the piss right out of James Bond. And like I was doing some research as well. Like Mike Myers wrote this as a bit of a tribute to his father, who at the time recently had passed away. So Mike Myers wrote this as a tribute because his dad introduced him to all these like things like James Bond, the Beatles, and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, wow,
so like
that's really cool.
That's really why Mike Myers wrote it. And another thing that I found interesting, this was not a success when it first came out.
Oh, really?
No, apparently it was like just didn't make a lot of money, and it wasn't until the DVD run where it found its like audience and people just like started to grab hold of it. Yeah.
And then of course there's also the whole like controversy, I guess, surrounding like Dr. Evil, and you know, I guess Mike Myers and Dana Carvey have bad blood or had bad blood over it.
Yeah, because they say that Dana Carvey came up with the Dr. Evil character, right?
Yeah, making fun of Lorne Michaels. Like it's supposed to be his Lorne Michaels impression, right?
Right. That makes sense.
Which, I mean, I don't know. Do you know a lot of Dana Carvey's work?
I know it from like
Master of Disguise.
Yeah, like that. But like, I mean, there's only one good part of that movie, and it's the Turtle Club. Other than that, I only know him really whenever he's on Conan's pod, and they're riffing together because he's a great like improv comedian, like in the moment kind of stuff.
Like I loved his work on SNL, right? Like, was he Church Lady? But at the end of the day, like, Mike Myers is Dr. Evil.
Oh yeah,
I could not imagine
100%.
anybody else nailing that role the way he does.
There's no casting what ifs in this movie. This is Mike Myers' movie. Like he's playing Austin Powers, Dr. Evil. Later on in the franchise, he's Fat Bastard. Like it's amazing. So I did want to ask you, like, was your introduction to Austin Powers through this movie or through the second one? Because for me, it was through the second one, and then you go back and later watch the first one because we were like maybe 5 years old when this comes out originally.
So I'm quite positive it's the first one. When was the last time you saw the second one?
It's been a while since I saw the second one. Yeah.
Does the second one do the transitions the same way?
I can't remember
where
if they
it's
have
like,
the groovy,
him either playing the drums or whatever, or like dancing
or taking pictures. Yeah.
I think it's only the first one, and that's what I remember the most actually. Like watching this as a child, which I probably shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, like this came out when we were 5 years old, so I don't even really remember. Like maybe it was on TV and stuff like that, but the way I remember it is watching the second one in like early middle school to like close to high school when that comes out, and like then going back and watching International Man of Mystery and being like, oh shit, they like for the second one they just ran it back, but better. Like, because there's so many bits from the first one that make it into the second one.
That's an interesting take.
They sort of just like build. They like include them, but build on them, and I do it even better. Because when I started to write down my first opening notes for this, I was like, yeah, Mini Me, all this stuff, and I was like, wait, Mini Me's not even in the first one. Like, he's not introduced until the second.
So this is interesting. Personally, I like the first better, but I feel like that's not a popular take.
For me, I like the second better.
I feel like people like the second one better, and I would also take Elizabeth Hurley over. Oh fuck, what's her name?
Heather Graham.
Heather Graham. I would take Elizabeth Hurley over Heather Graham like any day.
Fair. Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to get into it now because we're doing the first one, but in my opinion, what I like more about the first one too is that I like that Vanessa, she adds a little bit of tension in the beginning. Like she's the straight man, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like Heather Graham goes along with.
Yeah, she's into his antics right away.
Right off the bat. And I feel like it's not as funny because there's no like build up, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
But I don't know. Maybe you can chalk that up to like, oh, well, they have good chemistry, so it works either way, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, I just found that interesting.
Yeah. It's funny when you think about this movie from a perspective of like when you were younger watching it, because for me back then, it was about the absurdity and the crude humor that made me laugh. And now as I watch it, there's some really, really sharply written jokes in this movie that like you don't notice when you're younger.
For sure.
You don't notice like how good and clever some of the writing is in this movie. And like watching it again, I was like, I really appreciate a lot of these like smaller bits that you're getting that aren't as big and boisterous as the antics that are Mike Myers.
I agree. Before we jump in, I want to ask you something.
Okay, shoot.
So I counted 5 Seinfeld cameos.
Yeah. Okay. So I started noticing this as well.
Okay.
Yeah. But I only noticed.
How many can you name?
Soup Nazi was the card dealer in the casino floor.
That's one.
Who else was there? I just kept pointing out. I was like, oh, I remember that person from Seinfeld, but I can't remember them off the top of my head right now.
Okay. Babu.
Yeah, that's right. Babu. He's part of the UN Council, right?
UN secretary. Number 2 actually plays Mickey's father.
That's right. Yeah,
he's the dentist. And he calls Jerry out on being an anti-dentite.
Yeah.
The next 2 are like a little more low key. The tour guide at VirtueCon, his name's Patrick Bristow, and he's the wig master for the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. So he gives it to Kramer, and Kramer is wearing it like the pimp.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then finally, Michael McDonald.
Who's that?
He plays Stuart in Mad TV, if you remember that.
Oh, yes,
so
yes.
He's the guy who Powers is saying, like, get out of the way.
Yeah. He's like, no.
He is the one who, in that same episode as Patrick Bristow, asks out Patrick Bristow in front of Jerry Seinfeld. And Jerry's like, I'm sorry, are you asking him out right in front of me? How do you know we're not together?
Yeah.
So I think there might be more, but those are the 5 that I caught. I was just curious if you noticed.
No, I definitely noticed Soup Nazi right away. I was like, oh my God, yeah, there you go. He's there. All right, let's jump into the rundown. We're going to go through this movie. We get the intro, right? We're setting everything up.
Yeah.
And we open with Dr. Evil addressing his goons because he's mad that they've completely failed him, basically. This is great because we get a sense of like the dastardliness of Dr. Evil. I fucking love the music too, right off the top.
Oh,
It's
the music
so,
in this movie is so good.
it sets the tone for like, yeah, this guy's an evil genius. He's got his lair, all that. And then one of my first things that pops out to me is Dr. Evil's chair control panel.
Yeah.
With the buttons. Did you catch some of the names on
I
the
did
list?
catch, yeah, I didn't write them down, but it was really funny.
Yeah,
yes.
there's one of the just generalissimo,
Yeah.
which literally is just like a word for like highest level of general. Like it doesn't mean anything. He's not like an actual name. You get Will Ferrell as Mustafa.
I got a good kick out of the guy with the hook for the hand,
Yeah.
and he's just holding the cigar in the hook.
Yeah. Really great. Yeah, this opening sequence really nails that like campiness of the James Bond vibe, which I really, really love. And from here we get into Austin's introduction, which is a dance number.
I love this. Like, bring back long intro credits.
It's so great. It's like because this is the Beatles mania part of it all. Like this is everyone's fawning over Austin Powers. They want to be him. They want to be with him. And like he's just going through the streets of London, but it's a studio lot somewhere.
Like it's so fun. Like the dancing is like so silly. The music is so on point.
Yeah. Yeah. And then from here we meet Basil Expedition, which is just such a great name via what is it? The screen in his car, his spy car.
Yeah, and again, like a joke that totally goes over your head as a kid, that his name's literally Basil Exposition.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's so good. I'm just like, that's a weird name.
Yeah. So Basil basically tells Austin that he's got to confront Dr. Evil at this swingers club, where he goes and he confronts Dr. Evil, and Dr. Evil later escapes in his cryopod to space. What stood out to you in this sort of first little club sequence?
So there's a small little bit that's tucked away in the intro where Powers is running through the streets. And I do want to mention, because I love when movies do this, and I feel like they don't do this gag enough now, where somebody's holding either a newspaper or a magazine in front of their face, but it's a joke because typically it's that person on the magazine cover. So, so Austin's got it up on covering his face, but it's his face covering him.
Yeah, and the crowd runs by him and forgets that he's even there.
I love that. I wish that would happen more. I don't know. I guess because people don't hold newspapers anymore.
Hollywood, if you're listening, we need more of those jokes.
But yeah, I mean, it's great. We get to the part where like he punches Dr. Evil's henchman in the club, which not cool, I guess, because it's a woman, but also I feel like we say this quote so much in our group, and it doesn't make any sense because the context is never relevant.
Yeah, that's a man. Like, but it's so funny the way they do it. He's like, what's he say? He literally stops Mrs. Kensington.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have an idea, and just turns and clocks this woman in the face. But then when they come back, it's so clearly a dude.
It's so good. It's so
got
funny.
Like 5 o'clock shadow.
The switcheroo is perfect.
Yeah.
That's a man.
And then we get the sort of final closing bits where Evil escapes into his cryopod, and the narrator. We have like a narrator for like a split second of this movie who comes in. He's like, Dr. Evil plans to return to a time where there's no longer free love and greed and corruption rules again. Like it's just like this random setup. And of course, from here we go 30 years later, which I think this is like, I don't know, it's like the intro part 2, because we kind of learn after 30 years of being frozen that Dr. Evil has returned in the form of a big boy ad. And after that, we realize, I actually love this part about the movie. Basil's sort of explaining to one of because the U.S. like colonel noted, they noticed Evil's back first, and he's got to go to London, and they're going through this, I don't know, facility, this cryo facility.
Yeah.
And Basil's like, Austin volunteered to freeze himself if Dr. Evil ever came back. Like, I just love that. Like, he volunteered to do it.
I mean, that's Basil. He's just doing his job.
Yeah, doing his job.
Did you notice that we got, for the second week in a row, a Vanilla Ice cameo?
I was going to say that. Yeah, we got a Vanilla Ice cameo here. There's a lot happening here in this cryo facility sequence, because Basil's like, yeah, we store him on the celebrity wing. So did you notice who else was on the celebrity wing?
Who else?
Gary Coleman.
I did see that. Yeah, that's funny. I literally only know Gary Coleman from The Simpsons. So
yeah, exactly. Alrighty, let's talk about this sequence here, this reanimation process.
Okay.
Hit me with some stuff that you like here.
He just looks so ridiculously goofy. Getting like washed off, and then he's doing like a little dance while he's getting like blow dried. I mean, it's hilarious, right? The chest hair like What really hit me though is he looks so young in this.
Oh, I know. Yeah, he looks really young in this movie.
It's wild, right?
The one thing that really stands out to me is like they have like different names for like parts of the process that they're going through.
Yeah.
Warm liquid goo phase. Sorry, let me say that again. Warm liquid goo phase complete.
It's so good. Evacuation phase.
Yeah,
is
it's the longest pee ever. Like, I mean, we've all been there. You wake up from a nice long sleep and you pee for a minute and a half, maybe 5. Another one that I really like that happens after that, where it's like they go through the whole process and they're sort of reorienting Austin. Like it's the 90s, whatever. They're talking to him, and he's like, "Sorry, it seems like I'm having difficulty controlling my voice."
Controlling the volume of my voice. Yeah.
It's so good. Oh, that's just part of the reanimation process.
Again, another thing that totally escaped me as a child was the chest pubes in the shape of a dick and balls.
I mean, yeah, they're there.
It's just like, oh, it's funny, he's hairy. Now I'm like, oh, that was done deliberately.
Yes, absolutely. And we'd be remiss not to talk about this part where Austin is collecting his things. I love this because you get the guy, he's like, Danger Powers. He said, no, actually, Danger's my middle name. And he's going through all the stuff that Austin had with, I guess it's almost like, you know, when you get out of jail, they give you all your shit back. He's like, Burt Bacharach plays the hits. Album, and then one Swedish-made penis enlarger. That's not mine, baby.
I love, like, he says this throughout the whole movie, and it gets me every time. He refers to it as his bag. It's not my bag, baby.
That's not my bag. I love it because they go on, and I was like, there's a credit slip signed by Mr. Powers for one Swedish-made penis enlarger, warranty card filled out by Asa Powers, and then the book, Swedish-made penis enlarger and you. This sort of thing is my bag, baby.
That's so good.
Oh, it's great. After this, we sort of get reintroduced to Dr. Evil, his lair, and his goons, and he's reintroducing his cast of henchmen. And there's just so much good stuff right off the top here. Number one, he burns Mustafa.
Yeah,
Will Ferrell,
who's not quite dead,
who just refuses to die.
Yeah,
it's so great. He's like, could someone call an ambulance? I'm in quite a lot of pain, and the whole time, like, Mike Myers is really good at this. Like, as Dr. Evil, there's a lot of like subtle physical comedy that he does with his face and stuff, where he wants to go to continue talking, but he can't because Will Ferrell's screaming because he's being burned alive. And then you sort of get this long played out part where some people go in to like finish him off, but he shoots him in the arm. You shot me. And
then of course we get it again in the next movie, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. When he falls down the cliff.
Yeah.
But I just want to hit you with some of the titles for Dr. Evil's henchmen.
Okay.
Frau Farbissina, founder of the militant wing of the Salvation Army.
Oh, I missed that part. That's so okay. That's good.
And then you have Random Task, ex-Korean wrestler, evil handyman extraordinaire.
He's the one that throws the shoe, right?
He's a ripoff of Odd Job, right?
So I didn't know that's what that is.
Yeah.
Does Odd Job throw shoes as well?
What is? I think he throws his hat. Odd Job throws his hat in the James Bond movies. Then there's what's it? Patty O'Brien.
Patty O'Brien, yeah,
with his Lucky Charms.
They're always after me, Lucky Charms.
And when there's a really great line when he's introducing number 2, he's like, "And my number 2, number 2." The way he just awkwardly says his name.
So I think you're going to touch on this, but if not, I have to make mention of it because this again is something that I absolutely overlooked as a kid, and honestly, up until this viewing.
Is it the companies?
It's the companies.
Yeah, tell me.
We own a factory that makes miniature models.
That's it. We have 36 companies and a factory in Chicago that makes miniature models of factories.
It's brilliant.
So good.
I don't know how I missed that, but
there's another gag that gets introduced here, and they play it out through the entirety of the series, but it's the chair bits.
The chair bits are good.
I love the chair bits. Again, this is like the physical comedy aspect of Dr. Evil, where his chair that he sits in just never quite works. You know, like he sits down at the desk and it just rolls him all the way to the back, and he's got to like scooch forward. He just looks awkward doing it. Yeah, in this whole sequence, everyone's catching Dr. Evil up on the times and like what's happened, and he's got all these nefarious plans, but they seem to have already passed.
It's so good. Him saying, "Throw me a frickin' bone here."
Oh, it's so good.
How many times did you say that as a kid?
Oh, all the time. It was like one of my most used lines. I love it because he's like, yeah, and we will punch a hole in the ozone layer. It's like, yeah, that's already happened. the whole idea of asking for $1 million, but that's not a lot of money anymore in the 90s.
Hilarious. What does he say? He's like, VirtueCon alone makes like $1 billion a year.
$9 billion annually. Yeah, I love it. He's like, I've been frozen for 30 freaking years. Alrighty, from here, we move into Austin and Vanessa go to Vegas, and their main goal in Vegas is to sort of not link up with, but like keep tabs on Dr. Evil's crew and to, I guess, infiltrate VirtueCon. We see Austin's groovy jumbo jet, and in between all these sequences, we meet Scott, Dr. Evil's son. Do you have any takes here?
Yes, one of my favorite bits, and this is like, again, like kind of low key, but it's where he's trying to get a hug from Scott, right?
Yeah.
And he's trying to convince him that he's like hip.
Yeah.
And he busts out like, I'm hip. Ducka, ducka, ducka,
Yeah.
ducka. He does the dance. He's like doing the Macarena.
He's doing the Macarena. What? I'm hip. I'm with it. It's so good.
And like Scott sells it so well. Like the way he just says, I hate you. You're like, yeah, you totally buy into that. Like Dr. Evil and Scott could be like father and son. Is that
Seth
just me?
Green nails this role. Like he is so good as the like, I guess like just the rebel without a cause teenager kind of vibe.
Yeah,
like hates his
100%.
parents sort of thing, and just crushes it.
And like we'll get to it later on, but the way he even says like, I'll go get my gun. We'll shoot him right now. Like,
it'll be fun.
Like he's so I don't even know what he's doing here, but he's crushing it.
It's great. It's such a really smart thing to ask for a satire on like on Bond movies and stuff like that. Like, what if the main villain had a kid who hated him? Like, it's so funny. Like, who thinks of this shit? All right. After this, we get Austin and Vanessa in Vegas, and they go and check out the casino floor, and that's where they run into number 2 over a game of blackjack. I really enjoy this part because obviously number 2's cheating because he's got like robotic eye or whatever, and he can see that the next card's a 3, so it will put him at 21. And Austin's at 5, and he's like, "I'll stay." And the guy, "Sir, I suggest you hit, sir.
Cards are not my bag, baby." That's what he says.
So I love this is where you get. I too like to live dangerously. So after that's and Soup Nazi playing the card dealer. Before we move on, number 2 introduces his secretary.
Yeah.
And the way he does it is really funny. He's like, "This is my Italian confidential secretary." A lot of vagina.
It's vagina. The Italian bird is what they refer to her as,
Well, yeah,
which
that's what,
also
that's
seems super inappropriate.
Yeah, you can't say that, but that's how Powers refers to her from there on out. But yeah, so they go and tail number 2 as he goes to the bathroom, and there's a really great line here as Austin's getting to the bathroom because number 2 sort of like disappears into wherever, and there's a man in the bathroom who's, I guess, like he hands out the napkins or whatever like that, and he goes, "You didn't happen to see anything at all," because it's a blind guy.
Yeah. Which is funny because I've totally forgot about that bit, and at first I thought, oh, like he's one of like Dr. Evil's henchmen or something because he's sitting there and he's looking pretty suspicious.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "What's this guy doing in this room?"
But nope, he's actually just a blind guy, and his sole purpose is that joke.
Yeah, 100%. There's so many people that are just here for the bit. And it's something I noticed about this movie where like this movie is its scenes and sequences are set up as bit, and then you get one story moment that like progresses everything along, and then it's just bit, story.
I mean, yeah, like the whole movie is
perfect.
literally they don't really even explain how they take the nuclear weapons.
No, they just end up with it.
They're just like, yeah, let's just take some nuclear weapons and hold the world hostage. And you're like, yeah, okay, I accept that. That's the movie
Yeah,
plot.
like, let's just do what we always do. But yeah, so back to the bathroom. This is where Austin sort of runs into like your quintessential oil baron.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good way to put it.
That's just what this guy looks
he's
like.
the guy from Simpsons, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they get, I don't know, they shake. What do? Like they just have a little bit of a conversation, and then they both go into the toilet.
He's commenting on how ridiculous his suit is.
Right,
and then
that's
doesn't
it.
he just say like, oh, I'm English?
Yeah. He's like, oh, okay. But yeah, we get into the toilets, and they're both taking shits. Well, they're supposed to be, but Austin ends up fighting Patty O'Brien, who I love this because I didn't notice this before, but he comes out of the ceramic tiles in the wall. I love the idea that they went and like pre-planted that because they knew Powers was going to follow number 2 in the bathroom. But this just shows that number 2's name is purely number 2 for this gag.
Yeah, 100%.
It's so good. Who does number 2 work for?
The second they named him that, like, they were like, okay, so we have to do a lot of poop jokes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm fine with.
And then you get Oil Baron going next door. Hey, man, yeah, calm down over there. You're gonna blow out an O-ring and drop a lung.
It's more physical comedy too, because like him saying who does number 2 work for doesn't even get the laugh out of me. It's watching his feet kick from the Oil Baron side of the stall that really sells it for me.
He's just drowning Patty O'Brien in the toilet bowl the whole time. Oh, it's great. It's good stuff. And from here, you kind of touched on it briefly. We go back to Dr. Evil, and this is where they decide to threaten the UN. And this is one of my favorite lines. Patch me through to the United Nations secret meeting room. That's great. This is where I think this is sort of the first moment where we get the classic Dr. Evil pinky to the mouth.
True,
like
yeah.
he asks for, they're holding the world ransom for $100 billion. And he does the classic evil pinky. And you get the iconic laughing scene. Everyone's got their evil laugh. What I really love about this part is because you see this in spy movies and James Bond movies, this happens, but this movie asks, what happens when it ends? Like, how do you just like go from laughing this maniacally to like being normal afterwards? Like, how do you just walk away from that?
And you can't do it.
It's just so fucking awkward. Everyone stops laughing and they're just sort of looking around at each other. It's good stuff. Anything in these sort of Vegas sequences that I'm missing?
There was one thing that you glossed over that I wanted to mention, and it's like a small throwaway, but it's when they first get to the hotel and they're unpacking, and we get another penis pump joke, which makes me howl, because again, he pulls down and he goes, how does this keep happening? I swear it's not my bag, baby. But to me, what's funnier than that is actually Vanessa undoes her suitcase, and you see everything in like, neatly organized packing bags.
OCD bags.
And he goes, nerd alert.
I forgot about that one. That's great. It's good stuff. From here, we sort of get into Austin and Vanessa are truly investigating VirtueCon, and we get one of the ongoing gags of like the franchise here. It's the next day, and they're waking up in the morning, and Vanessa's on the phone with her mom, and the whole time they're doing the whole bit of let's hide nudity with objects that look like the thing that we're hiding.
Yeah. It's perfect.
It's so good. It works so well. And then you get to the part where she's eating her English sausage for the morning. Oh, it's so good. Anything here that you want to touch on?
They just they play it so well, right? Like his reactions to I think when she bites it, like he goes like, oh, shudders
exactly.
or something.
Yeah,
like the physical comedy it's top notch.
I love it. It's the plotting and planning of that sort of sequence is just they took a lot of time to choreograph that.
Oh, 100%, right?
I love thinking about like how much time do you think they spent on that? Like, all right, from the top, let's go again.
Which is really funny to hear you say, because I feel like you and I are like more often than not, I was probably improvised, but like, no, I don't think that one was improvised.
No, that was they had a professional choreographer come in, tell them their marks and all that stuff.
Which is also funny because you go from, I have to assume if you're a professional choreographer who does this kind of thing, it's like, I don't know, either fights or dancing or something like that. But it's like, no, like what we want you to do is choreograph a bunch of fruit and like penis-shaped objects.
Phallic objects.
Thank you.
To cover Austin's junk while he walks around the room naked.
Yeah, and we don't want you to do it once. We want you to do it like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, we're going to have several scenes that that go this way. There's a sequence that happens next where we find Vanessa and Austin are like hiding in some bushes to like scout the VirtueCon headquarters. And this looks like such a throwaway scene where like I don't know if they had permits to be there. Like they're literally just hanging out in some bushes that could have been on the side of the road anywhere.
Yeah.
And they're like, quick, get down, do the scene, let's go now. And it's funny because Vanessa calls out like, oh, there's someone heading into the door now, and she's got her little binoculars, and Austin's like, oh, let me see. And he pulls out this camera with the biggest lens you've ever seen on it. So good. Here, we start to build up Austin and Vanessa's relationship. They sort of party together. They go out on the town. We get is this where we get the whole Burt Baccarat?
We get Burt Baccarat, which is funny because I feel bad, first of all, for Burt Baccarat, because I feel like anybody in our generation knows him as Burt Bacharach from Austin Powers.
Yeah, I don't know anything
is
about him other than this movie.
super inappropriate for him because he's like a very well renowned like musician.
Is he? I don't know. I've only seen him in Austin Powers.
And we're just like, yeah, oh yeah, that Austin Powers guy. Like, I hope that he has a sense of humor and he's like, yeah, that's funny. Like, I like that. And he's not super sour about it.
Yeah, he's like, this is really gonna like elevate my career with the young population.
It's like not in the way you thought, Bert. Sorry.
Not at all. This is where we get some sort of classic stuff from Austin. We get the couch gags, the might as well take the elevator or my canoe,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And then the there's one I like this one. No, this is me in a nutshell. Help! I'm in a nutshell.
I knew you were gonna say that one. I have that one down too.
It's so funny. It's just so like it's one of those jokes that's just so on the nose, but it just works because it's
How did
ridiculous.
I get in this nutshell?
Yeah, why am I here? It's dark.
Before we move on, I do want to point out that there's a ton of like misogyny in this movie. Again,
yeah.
Because
Big time.
Austin Powers, that's like
He's a horn dog.
sure, but ahead of its time, or even not ahead of its time, just a really good message. Vanessa's trying to kiss him,
Yeah.
and she's wasted,
Yep.
and he says no, like you're drunk, like I can't do that.
Yeah.
Good for you, Austin Powers.
Yeah.
It almost makes up for the amount of
Yeah, the
horn dog
the other
actions
stuff.
throughout the rest of the movie. But I just have to say, like, for a movie that, has trouble with consent, this is surprisingly like,
Yeah.
a nice moment.
For sure. After this, Austin gets an email from Basil, and Basil's telling him like sort of his, I don't know, next mission or something like that he has to go to number 2's Italian confidential secretary's place to find the plans for Project Vulcan. And so Austin goes there. And they basically like hook up and all that stuff, right? And they get the classic like, oh, you passed wind before me in the hot tub. So he's like, oh, I didn't know it was your turn, baby.
So good, yeah.
Really great.
I like that they kind of make fun of like not even a serious moment, but she's changing behind the doors and you can see her silhouette. And they kind of, instead of doing the bit here, I guess it comes to them later. We're in the second one, they're in the tent, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And they're doing the silhouette gags.
This is the origin of that.
So it's kind of funny to see it like built upon in the second one.
That's
right?
what I mean with the second one. It really is like they just ran back the first one and improved upon every one of the bits and made small little tweaks while also having a lot of original stuff as well. Like it's really I love this franchise. It's it's so funny. Meanwhile, while Austin's doing all this stuff with the with Alata Vagina, we find out that Evil has now just decided that Austin's getting too close to unveiling his plans, and Frau introduces her latest design to kill powers, which are the fembots and their machine gun jumblies.
I love the idea they call in the guards just to kill the guards too.
Yeah, just to kill the guards. And you start to see the similarities between Evil and Austin here because Dr. Evil makes a pun. I forget what it is. Something about the caliber.
I like to see girls of this caliber is what he says, and nobody laughs.
No one laughs. No one likes it. And meanwhile, previously, Powers has been making puns. No one laughing, and then it comes on later that he makes another pun, and again, no one laughs.
Comes out later that they're brothers.
Spoiler. After this, we sort of have the gang gets reunited with Vanessa, Basil, and Austin, and they sort of now understand Evil's plans to like destroy the world via a nuclear warhead to the core. And this is where Austin goes, only 2 things scare me, and one is nuclear war. and they're waiting. Everyone's waiting on him to like let him know what the other one is. And Basil's like, well, what's the other? He's like, oh, carnies, circus folk.
They smell like cabbage, he says. That's horrible. Nomads.
And then we get another callback joke where he just knocks out Basil's mom.
Yeah, oh my God.
Which is really funny because, like, I don't know, you're all spies, you're part of this top secret organization. Basil, why is it important for everyone to meet your mom?
Why is his mom there?
It's not. They just did it as the gag. Like, literally, she's only written in here to do that bit again.
100%.
It's great stuff. Anything else in these sort of like the Vegas investigation, all that sort of vibe that I'm missing, didn't cover?
We do find out here that while we're in this like makeshift British HQ hotel room, that VirtueCon runs a tour every hour, he says.
Right.
What?
Yeah, why? What does
Fucking
VirtueCon
insane.
do? They own 36 factories. I hope it's a tour of the model factory plant.
Imagine.
That's so good. Okay. We've come up to one of my favorite scenes. I'm guessing it's one of your favorite scenes.
This is my favorite scene, yeah.
This is the Dr. Evil and Scott's group therapy session. I don't even really know where to begin, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. I'm going to sort of set up the beginnings of the scene, and then I want to play a clip for you so we can just react to it live and just talk about it afterwards.
That's so funny because actually I wrote down the
Did
monologue.
You wrote down the monologue?
Because I can probably recite half of it.
Yeah. It's this. So I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've seen this movie, and if you haven't, this is just one of the most impeccable examples of writing in a movie of all time. Basically, Scott and Dr. Evil are at a group therapy session, and they're trying to work things out with this group of regular folk who have regular people problems. But really, at the end of the day, Scott's mad at Dr. Evil because Dr. Evil wants him to take over the family business. He goes on, it's like, who's going to take over the world when I die? And Scott's like, well, see, that's what I'm talking about. He always wants me to be evil. He's like, well, I thought maybe I could be a veterinarian, an evil vet, open up a petting zoo, an evil petting zoo. That's sort of what we get until the group person asks Dr. Evil about his life. And we get this scene, this clip.
Okay, well, we've heard from you, Scott. Now, you tell us a little about yourself.
The details of my life are quite inconsequential.
Oh, no, please, please. Let's hear about your childhood.
Okay. Very well. Where do I begin? My father was a relentlessly self-improving boulangerie owner from Belgium with low-grade narcolepsy and a penchant for buggery. My mother was a 15-year-old French prostitute named Chloe with webbed feet. My father would womanize, he would drink, he would make outrageous claims like he invented the question mark. Sometimes he would accuse chestnuts of being lazy, the sort of general malaise that only the genius possess and the insane lament. My childhood was typical. Summers in Rangoon, luge lessons. In the spring, we'd make meat helmets. When I was insolent, I was placed in a burlap bag and beaten with reeds. Pretty standard, really. At the age of 12, I received my first scribe. At the age of 14, as a roastery named Vilma ritualistically shaved my testicles. There really is nothing like a shorn scrotum. It's breathtaking. I suggest you try it.
You know, we have to stop.
So...
Okay, first of all, what are your favorite lines? Because the enunciation in this monologue it's spot on.
There's so much there's just so much to love about this sequence. Like he would womanize, like the way he drags out some words.
Penchant for buggery.
Penchant for buggery. How does he call it? The typical. I don't know, you have it written down, but the genius lament and the insane possession.
Oh yeah, that's the sort of general malaise that only the genius possess, and the insane lament.
Like there's just so much good stuff happening here.
I think my favorite line has to be, he would make outrageous claims like he invented the question mark.
He would.
It's so good.
He would accuse chestnuts of being lazy. It's like
there's really nothing like a shorn scrotum.
It's breathtaking. I suggest you try it. One of my favorite parts though about this, the whole time, like they're going around the room and getting the looks at the people as he's doing this, and Scott the whole time's like, he's like, what the fuck? Like really,
here we go again.
Yeah, you're listening to this stuff. Like you're gonna believe him over me, kind of thing. Like he's so mad.
One thing I will say, listening this time around, is you can really see the Lorne Michaels impression. Like I feel like the voice is laid on very thick in the monologue. And maybe it's just because like he doesn't typically talk this much, this long.
Right.
But I can really hear it.
Yeah. See, for me, I don't know. Like I'm not as deep into the SNL world as you are, so for me, it kind of goes over my head. But this is just an all-time scene, right up. It's one of the best. It's just so good.
I like to think that, you know, during the Academy Awards when they show clips from movies that get nominated.
Yeah.
When they nominate Dr. Evil for Best Supporting Actor, this is the monologue that would like pop up on the screen.
Imagine Dr. Evil got nominated for that. That'd be amazing.
I mean, honestly, he should have for
Mike
this.
Myers is going to get a Lifetime Achievement Award, and this is going to be.
I would.
This is going to be the clip, like because it's just so good. Summers in Rangoon, luge lessons.
Summers in Rangoon is so
luge lessons.
It's so good.
Like, does he mean luge lessons like the ice sport? Like is that what he's talking about? I have so many questions.
Penchant for buggery.
You could do a whole like dissertation on that monologue alone, just of how good it is.
It's fucking brilliant.
Alrighty, we must move on for time, but if you haven't seen this movie, just do yourself a favor and watch that clip, or rewind and listen to it again. After this, Austin and Vanessa sort of have a falling out, and Austin sort of goes on this discovery of like, what have I missed for the last 30 years? And he's like watching the moon landing, and he's listening to pop music and all this stuff, and he's realizing that he's out of place and like doesn't really fit in this world. And it's kind of a really sad moment for Austin. Like he's really, really down here. Next up, we sort of get the sequence where Austin and Vanessa are infiltrating the lair. They go undercover on the VirtueCon factory tour and immediately sneak into the blatantly advertised restricted area.
I love this. So they just get off the car in front of everybody.
Just no problem.
Like, sure.
I love too that like immediately the alarms are tripped. Like it's not like they get into this back area and are able to like sleuth around. No, they open the door and Dr. Evil's henchmen are on top of them right away.
We get our first judo chop as well.
I wrote that down. We get our first instance of judo chop. And we also get we mentioned it earlier, but the steamroller bit here.
Michael McDonald.
Yeah, this is just another fantastic bit where the steamroller's moving, I don't know, not even 5 miles an hour. It's super slow. And the guy's like, ah!
It's a great visual gag. Like the way they set it up, like he's scared and screaming, like Austin's going towards him. And then they pull back and we see just how far away.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
And it's one of those gags that's been done several times. Like this has been ripped off by almost everybody. Like you get this in Futurama with the Bureaucracy Bureau with what's his face? You watch Futurama,
Hermes?
Right? Yeah, Hermes.
Yeah.
And they have like the slow moving scooters.
Yeah.
Like you get this in a lot of different pop culture over the years. After this, Evil captures them, and this is where we get more of that relationship with Scott, and he's monologuing about making all the volcanoes on Earth erupt by detonating this nuclear warhead on the core, which, by the way, I want to call out inspiration for the hit movie The Core. Maybe. Who knows? Dr. Evil sort of shows off the drill, and we're at this dinner party. He brings them to dinner, right?
Yeah.
And this is where Scott's just like, why don't I go to my room, get a gun, and we'll just shoot him right now.
His delivery of this is perfect. Like, what are you feeding him?
Yeah.
Why don't you just kill him? I'll go get my gun. We'll shoot him together.
I love it because like the whole time Dr. Evil's like, Scott, you just don't get it. You just you just don't understand what it's like to be a genius, basically.
You just don't get it. You know.
I also love we get Evil's tempted to press Scott's chair button, and Frau has to slap his hand away. It's a really good one. We get the first mention of sharks with freaking lasers attached to their freaking heads, which ends up they don't actually have those, and so Evil's asking number 2, well, what do we have instead? Because my cycloptic colleague, yeah, goofed up. We have sea bass. They're mutated. Are they ill-tempered? Yes.
Just the way he describes everything in this scene is so perfect. You'll notice the sharks have a laser beam attached to their head. Everyone deserves a warm meal.
Yeah.
He says, which is
so funny.
His exchange, like you said, back and forth with number 2, like sea bass. They're mutated sea bass. It's like the joke is so perfect already, but the delivery just like it really sells it.
Well,
right?
That's why, even earlier, I was like, when he asked, like, are they ill-tempered?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yes, they are. They're all riled up.
All right, well, that's a start.
Yeah. Well, we're getting somewhere.
We also get one of my like favorite childhood memories here. I was constantly like ripping off quotes and stuff from movies and burning them on CDs.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever remember doing this as a kid. Like you'd use like fucking LimeWire or something, right?
Right.
But like for some reason, I wouldn't make like CDs with music.
You were
like
just
I would always put like jokes and scenes and stuff from movies and stuff. So like
making your own comedy album over there.
Yeah, honestly, that's basically what it was. So like I had the like Zip It from the second Austin Powers, and then in this one it's the right.
It's so good. This was all over the playground. I remember we like everyone like I did this to my folks all the time, which is like I got a whole bag of right here with your name on it. Like it's just so good.
It must have drove parents insane.
Yeah. Oh yeah. that's like what some of these movies did for us as kids. Like they gave us we talked about it on the Ace Ventura episode with the whole talking through your ass thing. They gave us these stupid fucking jokes that like are harmless that we could just repeat over and over and over again and just drive our parents crazy.
Right. I'm proud of us for taking away like the harmless bits and not the like wildly inappropriate things that haven't aged well in these 90s movies.
Right. There's one thing that we should know is Austin's outfit as they're undercover, completely inappropriate. But
oh my God, yeah.
But I'm really glad that they stopped short and didn't do brown face.
Holy
like
shit.
It could have been a million times worse. So yeah, from here we get the classic. What Scott said was going to happen. They're going to get away. And they did. So Austin and Vanessa break free, and we sort of launch into our finale. They escape the sea bass, and this is where we have Austin's sort of not a good time to lose one's head fun. And he says a couple, and Vanessa's just like, all right, like, no more.
He judo chops the toothpaste.
Oh, yeah, the toothpaste and the
so
floss.
much.
No, it's not for your teeth. I figured we could swing over. I also love when they're taught when Evil's talking about this plan with the sea bass. It's like, and they'll be attached to a slowly lowering platform and dipping them into the water.
Yeah.
So yeah, after they escape, Austin basically sends Vanessa for help, and this is where we get another very, very iconic scene where he wedges the vehicle.
Yeah, this is like the gag of my childhood.
Yeah, this is we still talk about this all the time. Like if you're with your buddies and you're trying to parallel park, like people are like, oh, don't Austin Powers it or something like that. Like, you know, it's just timeless. It's a timeless visual gag.
Right. And then they come back to it and they make it bigger.
Yeah.
And he's still trying to do it. There's one particular part of this bit where, because we keep seeing him, he's backing up into the wall, readjusting, goes forward. He really sells it because he looks backwards and then drives forward.
Yeah.
And just his genuine reaction to it makes me think he actually did that.
He thinks he's gonna get it every time.
Like he really sells you on it.
He's like, oh, okay, I got it. I just need to back up a bit, and he does, and hits the wall. All right, Evil gets on the phone again with the UN, and there's something that I really love in this part. This fucking plastic suit that he's wearing.
It's so good.
It's like this inflated. I don't know. I guess it's like a biohazard suit. I don't know why he's wearing it, but I'm really glad he is because you get a lot of great like the suit's not quite sitting properly, so he's pressing it down, and then. One of my favorite bits, he goes to sit in his chair and just slips right out of it because the plastic suit just sends him flying. Yeah, so after he gets off the phone with the UN, I think he outlines his plan one more time or something like that. But we see Austin getting stopped by the fembots. What did you think of this sequence?
So, I mean, obviously that dance was improvised, right?
This is just so funny. Like, Powers turns on the 60s mojo and short circuits the fembots with this perfectly choreographed dance, and he's throwing cigarettes into each of their mouths, and he's got British sex appeal, but it's just so fucking funny because it's Mike Myers, and like right? I can't like.
There's got to be like 20 minutes of footage out there of him like doing various dance moves,
dancing in his underwear
for sure,
and it's so like this scene shouldn't work. But it does because of Mike Myers' confidence and the way he sells this character.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Is this the first time we hear jumblies?
Yeah, I think so.
Smoke started coming out of their jumblies. Yeah.
Yeah, because Vanessa storms the layer of reinforcements, and she kind of catches Powers in the act of defeating the fembots. Of course, they abort the countdown just in time. There's a really funny visual gag here where all shit sort of breaks loose in that room that they're in, and there's like an earthquake or something like that. And the guy who's doing the countdown is just still seated at his chair. Is like half his face is like sort of blown up, and he's like disheveled, but he's still doing like the 30 seconds remaining. Like he's still going for it.
They casted a great guy too because his voice is perfect.
Yeah, it's so good. We get Austin confronting Dr. Evil, and I wanted to say I think Dr. Evil might have the first use of hipster here. I didn't hear that word until like 2010.
Yeah, fair.
But he says there's nothing more pathetic than an aging hipster. And this is where they both take hostages. So Dr. Evil has Vanessa and Austin has Scott. And he's like, go ahead, kill the little bastard.
Yeah, I don't care. And I love how Scott just breaks free and he just runs off, and everyone's like, yeah, okay.
Well, before he breaks free, he's like, well, I thought we were making a lot of progress in group. Oh, don't be ridiculous. I had the group liquidated. They were insolvent.
Liquidated.
Yeah. And this is where we also find out but number 2 turns on Dr. Evil. Also, bonehead move by number 2. He sits down in the chairs that can burn you, like drop you into the volcano cellar. After this, Evil escapes. He's back in his cryopod. The whole layer set on self-destruct, and Powers and Vanessa have to sort of escape. And there's one last gag here that I really like when he does a front flip into his convertible and lands, like gets a nut shot right from the stick shift.
So good.
Really great visual gag. Then we go 3 months later. Austin and Vanessa are married. Basil calls. We get the second instance of using objects to hide nudity with the melons and all that stuff. But then random task crashes the honeymoon. And he throws his shoe at Powers.
Throws the shoe. Yeah.
And this is another line that I think we always use it. Honestly, a shoe? Who throws a shoe?
I don't think any of us have ever thrown a shoe. Why do we keep saying this quote?
It's just because it's one of those quotable movies that you just love and you hang on to.
You have to do the voice.
Oh, you got to do the
have
voice.
To.
And we get the last instance of the Swedish penis pump. And he's like, honestly, babe, it's not mine.
It's not my bag.
And then she's like, no, use it on him. So he uses the Swedish pump on random task and, I don't know, explodes his penis.
Sure. Yeah, there you go.
There's actually does this come afterwards? They're like on the balcony looking out over the stars or whatever. And you kind of end with Evil and his ship swearing revenge. But prior to that, Austin is taking the room service cart and like disposing of random task's body, and he just like has the door open and he just like shoves it, and you can hear in the audio like it lands in someone else's room because there's like screams and hollers from down the hall. He just shuts the door and walks away. I really like that as just like a nice little end cap there. Yes, that's Austin Powers. What'd you think on rewatch?
I mean, it's still my bag.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely my bag, baby.
Yeah, I mean, like it's. If you ever want a movie to just watch and, you're not a big fan of like Adam Sandler's like Grown Ups, like this is the perfect movie to just like shut your brain off and watch. It's so silly. It's like for the most part harmless for being a product of the 90s.
Yep. Yeah. Out of the three, is this one your favorite?
Oh, I don't know, because I definitely like it better than the second one. I did not like Goldmember when it first came out, but since I've come around on it.
I've come around on Goldmember as well. There's a lot of funny in Goldmember.
There's a lot of funny, but again, like as a whole, the movie's pretty whatever. But I feel like the gags really hit.
Yeah, yeah. I think I like the second one the best, but it's hard to say because I haven't seen it in a while. And like, I don't know, the second one's just the Mini-Me is just fucking hilarious.
He's so good, right? And
Mini-Me's great.
I remember the third one too, like because again, we were still relatively young, right? The whole mole bit, like that absolutely sent me.
I mean, you just witnessed and sent me just now.
Even like now as an adult, like I have an appreciation for like the, I guess like slimier jokes. Like I think there's a whole part where who plays his dad? Is it Colin Firth?
No, it's Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. That's it. It's Michael Caine.
Yeah.
So Michael Caine is like talking to Mini-Me and he's like talking about his penis. He's like,
oh, you're a goddamn tripod.
It's like a baby's arm holding an apple. Like.
What I like about the second one though is you get Mini-Me and the time travel stuff, and you get a lot of like that the silhouette gag. They really nail the silhouette gag in the second one. It gets later replayed in the third as the Mini-Me strapped to Mini-Me becomes Mini Powers basically.
Yeah, which is also hilarious. Him dressed up like Powers, like it's so funny.
So good. So this is just a great franchise. Let's end with some of our top scenes, and then we'll do. I mean, MVC is kind of a given. It's Mike Myers.
Yeah, but is it Powers or is it Evil?
Okay, we'll talk about that. Let's go through top scenes.
Okay. I did something a little differently because this whole movie is hilarious.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to talk about some underappreciated bits that I noticed this time around. That I was hoping you wouldn't call out during the pod so that I had something to talk about.
Nice.
So my first one is when they're at the UN.
Yeah.
And we talked about how he didn't really know how to end it, right? I think he accidentally changes the channel and you get Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, you do.
Which is so 90s too, but just the quote, that chick had 3 boobs, and then Butthead goes, ha, how many butts did she have? Do you have any relationship with Beavis and Butthead?
I remember watching a little bit of it, 'cause I think my brother used to watch it. Like it was more his era, and I was like the younger brother who like, oh, let me watch like this R-rated show with you kind of thing, right?
That really got me. The other thing was the sea bass, when he puts the guard's head into the water and he pulls out the guard's like missing head.
Yeah.
It's so clearly a mannequin that I just couldn't help but laugh. Like it's like they didn't even try.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, so I went with my top scenes, and like I think of all time, it's got to be Dr. Evil's and Scott's group therapy session. Just the entire
the monologue.
Even the whole setup before the monologue's really great about like Scott wanting to be maybe a vet or open a petting zoo, and every time Dr. was like, an evil petting zoo.
It's so good.
I also like Austin's reanimation sequence, really great with the warm liquid goo phase and the collecting his things. And then my last one was just like all of Dr. Evil's physical comedy bits.
I have the chairs. The chair written down is so good.
The chair not cooperating, the fucking plastic suit that he's in at the end, all that stuff is just so good to me.
There's a good little gag too where Evil's escaping the exploding layer and Powers is shooting at him. And he's shooting at him the way like in Westerns they would shoot at somebody when they call them yella.
Yeah.
to make them dance.
Yeah, dance.
But he shoots left, Evil runs right, shoots right, Evil runs left, and then he falls over, and it's so funny. Like it's such a good little like under the radar sequence.
Yeah, it's great. Did you have anything else for like top scenes or those little moments?
The last thing I had, and only because it made it onto my childhood CD, was Evil reciting the Meow Mix jingle.
Yeah.
Which is also really funny.
Looking for Bigglesworth, right? We didn't even talk about Bigglesworth the entire time.
We didn't, which is again like hilarious name.
The cat, it's so clearly like I don't know like what cat breeds are, but it's a hairy cat. And then when it loses all its hair due to the reanimation process, and like he's all pissed, he's like, "Well, we haven't worked out the kinks in animal."
Can we talk about Will Ferrell's character being the one who created this?
Yeah, Mustafa's the one that created the cryopod.
Like, what fucking qualification does this guy have for this? He's so stupid, but he's also developing this like intense cryo freezing chamber.
I love that. Like anytime you see, he's only on screen like twice, and every time he's just riddled in sweat. Like I love that there's someone on the set just misting him between takes. It's so great. Okay, do you want to talk about MVC? I like what you brought up here. Is it Powers or Evil?
Yeah. Okay. So for me, laughs per second is Austin Powers, but I will say that Dr. Evil's bits hit harder for me.
I would go. I think it's for me Evil. Like Powers is good, but for me the whole movie hinges on like the ridiculousness of a Bond villain.
Yeah,
and that's what I love. Like it's so funny. Like the opening stuff with the chairs, like that drop people into the fire below. Like it's all just really good stuff for a Bond villain.
Yeah, he took all the tropes and he ran with them for sure.
100%. I would go Evil. I would go Evil as my favorite.
I mean, it's the question we've been asking like all season, right?
Yeah.
How are we basing this? Like, is it going to be on quality or is it going to be laughs per second?
I'm just going to go with that. I like Dr. Evil better.
All right. Well, there you have it.
That's it. Yeah, that's my decision. I'm sticking to it. All right, some head-to-head for you. We kind of already talked about the rest of the franchise, so we won't go there. But other comedies from 1997, we have a Robin Williams classic, Flubber.
Oh my God, I forgot that movie existed. That's so funny. I 100% owned the VHS for Flubber.
I know you do for sure.
No, Austin Powers.
Yeah. Some of these I haven't even seen, but or I have seen them, but it's been so long. Like Beverly Hills Ninja.
I've actually never seen that one. That's Chris Farley, right?
Yeah, it's Chris Farley. What about Bean movie? Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean?
The Mr. Bean movie. I don't know. The redrawing of Mona Lisa alone's fucking.
I was not a fan of Mr. Bean. I thought he was creepy.
Because he just doesn't talk.
Like, I'm an asshole because I know he's so genuine in like all of these movies and his show, right?
Yeah.
But it just didn't do it for me. As a kid, I thought it was really weird.
So I think I had the benefit of like my grandparents used to love Mr. Bean and they had a bunch of VHSs. So I would watch them with them every once in a while. And I like Mr. Bean. I don't think it's better than Austin Powers.
No, of course not.
I don't think anything that came out in 97 came even close. Like the last two I have on this list are George of the Jungle and Vegas Vacation.
Vegas Vacation for me, I think we already talked about the vacation movies, so I'll talk about George of the Jungle instead, which I recently watched like within the last year.
Yeah.
It's I miss Brendan Fraser, man. Like,
so do I.
Those movies, like him growing up, Encino Man, like
you're gonna get me started on my.
I know.
We were robbed of Brendan Fraser.
It's not better than Austin Powers, but it's good for a rewatch still.
That movie like takes a really ridiculous turn.
It does.
You think it's not gonna be, and then he's just one 1 minute swinging on the Golden Gate Bridge, and you're like, how did we get here?
I have a question for you for head to head.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey or Mike Myers in the 90s?
After rewatching this, I have to go Mike Myers because we just did Ace
We just
Ventura.
did Ace. I'm not going to say those two movies because they'll face off in the bracket. So I'm just curious in general who you think was the funnier actor in the 90s.
Because
not even the 90s. Who had the better run?
Well, if you're talking about runs, it's probably Jim Carrey because I think he did more stuff. Like Mike Myers has Wayne's World, which I don't get to until I'm in high school. Basically, like,
That's fair.
That movie isn't even on my radar until then. What else is he was the fucking Cat in the Hat. Like I'm trying to think of what else like Mike Myers did.
Have you ever seen So I Married an Axe Murderer?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's been on my list for a while too.
Yeah. So I mean, you get the Three Powers movies, but other than that, I would have to go Jim Carrey. Then if you're talking about the run.
Three Powers movies are better than any three movies that Jim Carrey can put together.
I mean, you're probably not wrong. The three Austin Powers movies are so fucking good.
They're so good.
Yeah, there's like not anything. Yeah, you won me over. Yeah, I'll go. I'll go Mike Myers.
And this is kind of in line with, I guess, what we were just saying about, you know, you go laughs per second or you go better movie. Because I think as a whole, the Powers movies, while not making much sense, still make more sense to me than the Pet Detective movies.
I mean, that's fair.
But
Totally
laughs
fair.
per second, I would give it to Jim Carrey because he does Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, true. Dumb and
I
Dumber.
think Dumb and Dumber is like Hall of Fame worthy.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else. Like even Liar Liar is a really funny movie.
Yeah. But again, we'll save that for another day.
Yeah. Alrighty, so let's talk about some other spy comedies really quick if you've seen them. Johnny English. I'm gonna guess no because you don't like Rowan Atkinson.
I was gonna say, what's going on with Rowan Atkinson today?
Well, I was like, what are some other movies that could be in the same world as Austin Powers? Central Intelligence.
I have seen that one. That's the Rock and
Kevin Hart.
Thank you. No, that movie's horrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. Get Smart.
I've seen Get Smart too. No.
There's one part of it that's really funny. That's the only one I can remember when he tries to throw the phone, but it doesn't like work.
I feel bad saying it because like I really do want more of these movies, but they're just not good.
No, like whenever they try them, like because Powers kind of nailed it.
He did
in terms of spoofing
we'll never
James
get him
Bond.
again. As good as this anyway, because he went too hard out of the gate.
Well, they still talk sometimes that there might be a Austin Powers 4 in the works,
but
I don't think I think it's been too long. I think they're just too it's too old. Like he's too old now to like.
Yeah, I feel like Zillennials wouldn't like that.
Some
either.
of the even to do some of the physical comedy, which like really adds to this movie. Alrighty, we're gonna take a break and then we'll be back with Writer's Room. And we're back and we're doing Writer's Room. Rip, why don't you hit me with what you got first and we'll end on my shitty version that I did.
I love hearing you say that because it's so true. Like mine is always way worse than yours. So to hear you say that, like you must really have some shit today.
I don't know. I couldn't get any. The juices weren't flowing.
That's fair.
I didn't have no juice on this one.
Okay, so Chaps gave me Steve Carell, an action comedy, and Steve Carell is a master of a lost martial art form.
I can't wait to hear what you came up with.
Okay, so I've always wanted to do a Bourne parody.
Okay.
So this is kind of my like very quick stab at it. So Carell is a former government operative. After fumbling a major mission causing international backlash, his agency is shut down and his memory is wiped.
Oh.
He is shipped off to lead a middling life in New York City.
Okay.
We're gonna do a
I like
time
that they
jump.
didn't just kill him; they just wiped his memory, shipped him off.
Come
It's
on,
nice.
I mean he's one of the best, and as we will learn, he is a master of a lost martial art form.
It's true.
So 5 years later, on his way home from a pottery class, he's mugged.
Yeah.
Like mug, like pottery.
Sure. Yeah, you explained the joke, didn't you?
Upon being attacked, his training resurfaces and he kicks the crap out of his muggers.
I love that trope.
I love the trope
That's like
too.
one of my favorite tropes of like when someone has like training but they've forgotten it or whatever.
I didn't know if you were going to call me out on it for.
It's one of my favorites.
For being cheap or.
No, I like it. I'm in. I buy that right away.
So after boiling a cup of tea and some self-reflection in his thinking chair, blurry memories resurface of him training, and it's revealed that every member of his former agency was trained in this now lost form of karate.
Oh.
I looked it up, and there's 4, so consider this one the 5th.
Okay. There's 4 forms of karate?
There is, yeah.
Are they lost?
No.
Oh, okay. So this is the 5th.
Mainstream. This is the 5th one.
Gotcha.
Which is
what
lost.
are you naming
Keep
it?
up.
What'd you name it? Sorry.
I didn't name it.
Oh, that's fucking lame.
Karate.
Karate. Yeah, because what's his character name in the movie?
His last name is Carell in the movie.
Steve Arate.
Meave Carell.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm thinking like his agency like resurfaces, but as a shadow organization.
Oh yeah.
And knowing that Ferrell won't join them, they decide now is the time to kill him.
Oh.
I have one bit that really I just kind of like ripped off. It's more akin to a sci-fi twist, I guess, than an action comedy.
Right.
But I really like the idea of a big showdown between the big bad that's being sent to kill Steve Carell. And Steve Carell. So Steve is going to rip off the mask of the big bad while they're fighting. And we're going to see that he's fighting a clone of himself.
Oh, no.
But the clone is like similar to how Matt Damon's puppet in Team America looks.
Okay, so it's like kind of fucked up a little
bit.
bit.
So his face is kind of fucked up.
Yeah. I buy that.
Because like, they're cloning, but they're not quite there.
Yeah. They're working at the kinks.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
What do you got?
I don't think I can top that one, but last week you gave me Quinta Brunson, a road trip comedy, and Pocket Dials as the thing.
Okay.
So I have One Day, Rose, played by Quinta Brunson. I like to name my characters.
Of course.
Is driving around running some errands. She's got a big, much anticipated week off coming up. So she's trying to get some stuff done before that. And then she gets a pocket dial from an old friend who she hasn't heard from in years. She can't make out what's going on the other end. But after the call, a random pin is dropped, like a location pin is dropped to her.
Okay.
So having no idea what this means, she consults her trio of besties. And they tell her to drive out there.
Okay.
Make a week of it.
I like that.
Instead of sitting around at home like what you're going to do, go drive out there and see what's going on. And so she does.
That's fun.
And along the way, gets up to all sorts of road trip antics. Insert jokes here.
Insert jokes here.
I was trying to come up with some bits. Like I had some stuff like, I don't know, there's the classic like constantly fighting with the Bluetooth to connect your phone.
Yeah,
you literally
just took that from your life.
That happens to me almost every day. This is another one that I took from our friend group. Siri speaking inappropriate words when reading text from friends.
I do love that.
Which is a really fun bit.
I'm a sucker for that.
I thought I had a third one, but what I actually have is just copy and pasted the second one again. So I don't have any more bits.
You did this at 2 a.m. while you were high, did you not?
I did this during work today, so that's why and I've had weeks to do this, but
did you cast any of her friends?
I did not,
That's
but
fair.
it's probably the usual suspects.
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
Who are the usual suspects?
Yeah, people who are in comedies together.
All right. I'm going to tell, I've had enough of this. I'm going to tell you what I got for you next week. I want you to give me a family comedy with Austin Butler.
Oh, okay.
And the thing is going to be a delicious cheesecake.
Oh, nice.
Your choice of flavor.
Okay.
But I want you to specify what flavor.
I will. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Next week, I'm going to give you Simu Liu.
Oh.
A slapstick comedy.
Oh, I love that for him.
And he loves botany.
He loves botany. Not buggery.
He's a botanist. He loves botany. I think I came up with this after watching The Martian.
Can it be a matter of him getting mixed up between botany and buggery?
Hey, if you want to skirt the rules as you usually do, go right ahead.
All right.
Okay, Rip, why don't you let the folks at home know what movie we're doing next?
All right, so we're nearing the end here. So I'm gonna hit you with a blockbuster.
Ooh.
A favorite.
Yeah.
We're gonna do Dodgeball.
Nice. I'm in. We need some Vince Vaughn in this bracket.
Oh, true. I don't think we have any Vince Vaughn.
No, this will be the first entry for Vince
All
on
right,
the
let's go.
funniest movie ever.
And honestly, like Ben Stiller, when people ask me who my favorite actor is, I usually tell them Tom Hanks, which is such a cop out of an answer. It's also not true.
It's blatantly not true. I don't even know if you've seen a lot of Tom Hanks movies.
I haven't.
You just make that up. I love that.
I would say my favorite actor really is Ben Stiller.
Yeah, I know you do love. You're a big Ben Stiller guy.
His character work is so good, and I mean, this is a perfect example of it.
Dwight Goodman.
White Goodman.
White Goodman.
Yeah, because he goes,
not Dwight.
You know
White.
me. I'm white. WITE. WHITE. I'm white.
All right, save it for the next pod. All right, we're out of here.